Hi, this is Pete the Nerd from the Nerd Lair. I'm going to talk a little bit about Windows 7 performance today. Windows 7 performance is measured by the Windows Experience Index, and that can be found by going to the lower right-hand side of your display, clicking on the Start button. Up will pop a menu. In the menu on the right hand of it, you'll see a line that says Computer. When you point at that and click the right mouse button, then up will pop a screen or another menu that will have Properties on the bottom, and you click on Properties and up will pop a panel that gives you an idea of what the Windows parameters are and how well Windows performs. You'll see in there a Windows Experience Index that ranges from about 1 to about 7.9. So that's the range of numbers that are there. Typically laptops are in the 3 to 4 range. Desktops might be in the 4 to 5.9 range, and sometimes you can get higher than 5.9. And that's what I'm here to discuss. The performance is dependent upon three things. The first thing is the memory and CPU performance, and those are generally a pair of things that you put together, and that ranges from the high sixes to low sevens. The second is the graphics adapter. So you change the graphics adapter, and that changes everything. Typically, graphics adapters today are PCI Express adapters, and they are X16. That's the highest transfer rate PCI Express graphics adapters. And it measures two-dimensional and three-dimensional performance there. So those two things combined. I'll talk a little bit about them in a second. And finally, the disk drive performance. And typically for most SATA disk drives, the highest performance you get is about 5.9 today. That's for a regular SATA disk drive in any computer. Now, graphics adapters, the performance here, I happen to have a PCI Express. This is an X16 graphics adapter. It has 512 megabytes worth of memory on it. So it's got a lot of memory there, but that doesn't really make for the performance. The performance really depends upon the transfer between the graphics adapter and the computer. And a transfer can be 64 bits, 128 bits at a time, or 256 bits at a time. This is a 64-bit transfer rate. And while it performs well, it doesn't get a very high experience index. Its index is in the 4 range, I believe, as I recall. Now, I have one I've changed to that does 256 bits, and that gets a 6.8 performance index. It also has on there two of these digital connectors, so I run two displays off of my graphics adapter. And the digital adapters, there's no adjustment to them. They're all controlled by the adapter. Gives you excellent picture. So I have two of those. This one happens to have a VGA connector, standard VGA connector for connecting up to the old VGA style monitors. This requires some adjustment. And it also has here an S-Video adapter. The new computers will have an HDMI connector, and the HDMI connector is one that's used for televisions and high output video, the 1080p. Those are the things that work with those HDMI connectors. So the real performance here is determined by the transfer rate, and you can either get 64-bit transfers, 128-bit transfers, or the best would be 256-bit transfers. I found a card for about 130 bucks that did the 256-bit transfers, gives excellent performance. Now, the other area is the disk drive area, and here I have a laptop drive. This is supposed to symbolize the solid-state drive because they're both the same size. Solid-state drives are real expensive and real fast. Real expensive if you get large capacity. If you get a very small capacity drive, and I got one that's 128 megabytes for about $250. It gives you excellent performance overall. So my strategy here was to put just Windows and all of my application programs on the solid-state drive. None of the data goes on the solid-state drive. I have a second drive, all right, a regular desktop disk drive here. This is a terabyte drive. This is a relatively slow drive, but I have one that's really fast, uses a new SATA 3 interface, which is 6 gigabytes per second. That's the main working drive that I use for all of my data. So this drive has just Windows and the programs on it, but this drive has all of the data on it and is a very fast working drive. Then in addition to that, I have a 2 terabyte drive that's slower still that I use for all the backup data in the main storage. So that's the kind of stuff that you would find with the stuff going on with the disk drives. So the disk drives there are just cascaded where I have very fast to slower to very slow drives. Okay, that's a little bit about Windows performance. By using the solid state drive, I was able to get my drive performance up to 6.9. So now my overall Windows Experience Index is a 6.8, limited by the graphics adapter in my computer. My CPU and RAM are about 7.3. My disk drive is 6.9 now, and my graphics adapter is 6.8. So that's how it works. Okay, hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, write me at dialanerd, DIALANERD, at verizon.net, and I'll post some more stuff, and hopefully you'll find this useful. Thanks for dialing in. Bye.